Hello, in this math video, I will do a GED math video exam number 2, and I will break this exam video in several parts. I'm not sure how many parts, maybe 3 or maybe 4, but let's see. But it's not going to be in one single video. Okay, so let's start the exam. So this is a GED math exam number 2. Okay, so question 1 says, what is the total amount of donation collected by the school fundraising committee from the car wash, bike sale, and garage sale, considering they collect 625 from the car wash, 420 from the bike sale, and 550 from the garage sale? No calculator allowed. Just know that in this one we are timed, but this is just a practice exam, so don't worry about the timing. I am going to take my time when I do these problems because this is just a practice exam. But in the real exam, you are timed. So in this part, it says no calculators allowed. So they will say calculators allowed, or they'll say nothing. If this says nothing, you can use a calculator. But this specifically said no calculators allowed. So yeah, so all we got to do is find the total, and it's pretty simple because um, there is no decimals. So all you got to do is add them up. So you have 625 plus 420 plus 550. So if you add them up all, so it's 625 plus 420 plus 550. And you can definitely do this without a calculator. So 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 2 plus 5, that's 5, 6, 7, 9. 6 plus, you don't carry, so 6 plus 4 plus 5 is 15. Yep, it is that simple. So it is letter D, 1595. Okay, let's move on to question 2. So question 2 says Lila walked a distance of 3.2 times 10 to the third yards. Tom covered a distance of 2.5 times 10 to the third yards today. How much further, so whenever you hear the word further, I know it's subtraction. How much further did Lila walk in yards? So it's basically subtraction from Lily's to Tom. So you're subtracting 3.2 times 10 to the third minus 2.5 times 10 to the third, right? And it said no calculators allowed. So don't stress out because don't worry about the 10 to the third. You do not have to. I mean, you could write this as a non-scientific notation. For example, 3.2 times 10 to the third. If you want to write it as a whole, a non-scientific, you just move the decimal 3 units to the right because it's positive. So it's going to be 3.2 and then move it 3 units to the right. So it'd be 1, 1, 2, 3. So that would be 3,200 minus, and then how to convert 2.5 as a non-scientific? Really simple. You just move the decimal places 3 units to the right. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, right? So that would be 2,500. Okay. You could just do this easily, 3,200 minus 25. The other way you could have done is because they're both to the 10 to the third, and if you look at all our choices, they are in scientific notation form. I'm just gonna stick with this method. Because they're both to the 10 to the third, I don't have to worry about the 10 to the third. So your final answer will have a 10 to the third. And then all you got to do is subtract these decimals, 3.2 minus 2.5. And how do you subtract or even add decimal? Yes, you got to line them up, right? You got to line the decimals up correctly. So this is like 12 minus 5, just 7. And because this number is bigger than the top, you do have to borrow. So this is going to be 0. And then line up the decimal, so it's 0.7. So your answer is 0.7 times 10 to the third. So that would be letter B. Question 3. So question 3 is a word problem. A company produces widgets and each widget consists of 3 components. There are there are 50 machines in the factory and each machine produces 120 widgets per hour. If each component requires careful assembly and inspection, how many components assemblies does the factory produce in a day, considering a working day of 8 hours? So let's break this down. So we have how much machines do we have? So the total number of machines are 50. And then it says it pro and each machine produces 120 widgets per hour. So widgets is 120. And then components per widget is 3. And then hours per day. So all you got to do, so you just multiply everything out. So the total component, that's all it is. Total component is basically 50 times 120 times 3 times 8. That's it. So we can't use a calculator, so let's just do this very carefully. So what's 3 times 8? 24. 8 times 3 is 24. Times it by 120 times by 50. Now, I could easily do the 50 times 120. So it's really 12 times 5, which is 10, carry the 1, that's 60. And then you add these additional 2 zeros. So it'd be 600, and then you times it by 24. So not 600, 6,000. So what's 6,000 times it by 24? It would be 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 0 is 0. 6 times 4 is 24. Placeholder. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. 6 times 2 is 12. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 plus 2 is 4. And then you have a 1. So it is like the last one, 144,000. Okay. So this is without a calculator, and as you can see, I did it, so that means you can do it as well. Okay, question 4. Um, a group of friends went to a restaurant and decided to split the bill equally. The total bill, including tax and tip, was 245. If there were 7 friends in the group, how much did each friend contribute towards the bill? So it's just simple division. So as you can see, there's no decimal, so we'll just try to round it to the whole number. So all you got to do is it's just the total bill amount, which is 245. divided by the number total amount of friends, right? So there was a total bill of 245, and then the number amount of friends are 7. So without a calculator, because we can't use a calculator, you could do the box method, 245 inside and then 7 outside. How many times does 7 go into 24? Right? 245 is too large. So how many times does 7 go into 24? 3. So I'm going to put this 3 above the 4. So 7 times 3 is 21. And then 24 minus 21 is 3. Bring down the 5. How many times does 7 go into 35? 5. Okay, good. There's no decimal. I mean, there's no remainder. So the correct answer is A, 35. So $35 each for each friend. Okay, which of the following numbers list number from least to greatest? So they want to go from smallest to largest. No calculators allowed. So uh, let's put everything in decimal. So the only, 1/2 is really easy as a decimal. What's 1/2 as a decimal is 0.5. If you didn't know that, you would put 1 in the box, 2 outside, and then yeah, you put it like a decimal because 2 is too large for 1, so you have to carry a 0, and then line this up. So this would be 5. So this is also 1/2 is the same thing, 0.5. Now, what about 2 and 3/8? I want it as a decimal, not a mixed fraction. So all we got to do is convert that 3/8 into a decimal. So put 3 inside, out, 8 outside, and then line the decimal at a 0. How many times does 8 go into 30? About 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. 8, yeah, it would be 3. 8 times 3 is 24. 30 minus 24 is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 6. Bring down the 0. How many times does 8 go to 60? 7. 8 times 7 is 56. 60 minus 56 is 4. 4, and then bring down the 0. So it'd be 3.75. So 2 and 3/8 is the same thing as 2.375. And then you have 2.2, 0.668, and then 1/2. So all we got to do is go from smallest to largest. So what is my smallest? It is 0.668. The next largest is going to be the 1/2 because 1/2 is the same thing as 0.5. So it's going to be 1/2. No, smallest, sorry. Smallest. 0.5 would be the smallest, so it's going to be 1/2. Then the second smallest will be 0.668. Then the next smallest number is 2.2. And then the largest is the 2 and 3/8. Okay, so that looks like it's letter B. Question 6. How many factors are possible for 583? So when they say factors, they mean prime numbers. So you got to make a factor tree. So remember, a prime number is basically a number times 1 and itself. Okay, so for example, 3 is prime because what two numbers multiply 3? 1 in itself. 5 is prime because what two numbers multiply 5? 1 and 5. You get the idea, right? So 583 is definitely not prime. What two numbers multiply 583? You could do it a lot of ways. So you could do 11 and 53, right? 11 times 53 is 583, and then 53 is prime. 11 is not, 11 is also prime, right? These two numbers are prime. So you have 1153, which is 2, and then don't forget, uh, you can also use 1 in itself, right? 1 in itself. So that's an additional 2. So the total amount would be 4. 4 factors or 4 prime numbers. Okay. Question 7. The dimension measure of a rectangular prisms are 10 centimeters by, what does the W stand for? Oh, 10 centimeters by oh, we don't know this length, so they call it W. So it's 10 by W by 12 centimeters, and the volume of the prism is 1200 cubic centimeters. Find the measure of the width. So we got to figure out this unknown value. So um in the exam you get all the formulas you need. The only hard part is figuring out which formulas do you we really what formulas do you use. So you have everything listed. They give you all the formulas. So what are we doing in this problem? We are dealing with volume, right? So volume can be expressed as one way is length times width times height. And then what you could do is replace this V. They tell us the volume is 1200. And then it's 10 by W. I don't know what W is. And then the height is 12. So we got to solve for W. So first what I'll do is multiply 10 by 12, which is easy. What's 10 times 12? It is 120, right? So you have 120 W, and then you have 1200 here. And then you're going to solve for W by dividing both sides by 120. Let's see, one of the zeros cancel, so it's really 120 over 12. How many times does 12 go into 120? Once, and then 0. So that missing width is 10 centimeters. Okay. Okay, next one. Okay, question 8 says, consider the points -8, -2, and 5, and 12 on a number line. Find the total distance traveled if an object moves from -8 to -2, then to 2, then to 5, then finally to 12. So there's two ways you could do this. You could literally draw a number line if you really wanted to. So let's see, our smallest number is -8. And then what have we stopped at? Our largest number is 12. So yeah, you could just count how many total places from here to here. That's it. So this would be -7, -6, -5, -4, -3, -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we start from -8 and we have to land at +12. So just count how many places. So from -8, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's a total of 20 spaces. So be careful not to skip any. So remember we start at -8, so this would be the first place, right? And then you just keep on going until you touch to 12. That's a total of 20 places or 20 units. So it is C. The other way is you could be very cautious. You could just figure out the distance from -8 to -2 first. So to find the distance from -8 to -2, you just take the absolute value of -2 minus -8. And we know that two negatives becomes a positive. So it's really the absolute value of 8 minus 2 is 6. And then we could go from the distance from -2 to 5. That's going to be the absolute value of 5 minus a -2. And then two negatives becomes a positive, so that's 5 plus 2. And the absolute value of 7 is 7. And then the distance from 5 to 12. As you can see, it's much easier if you just did it on a number line. Um, it's just going to be the absolute value from 12 minus 5, and that's absolute value 7, which is 7. So your total distance is equal to 6 plus 7 plus 7, which is 20 units. Okay, next one. A graph is shown, and then somehow, what are we supposed to do? So here we have a linear line and it's going in the positive direction and it looks like it goes through these 2 points because you see the two black dots. I think what we got to do is find the equation. Yeah, we got to find equation of this line when you're given these two black dots or these 2 points. Okay, the equation. So I believe what we're going to do is to find the equation of this linear line, I believe we're going to have to use the equation y equals mx plus b. Okay. And I believe we're gonna have to use these 2 points. So one of this point is right here, which is at 0, comma, that's not -6, but this is -7. And then my other point here, this dot right here, that would be labeled as, so you go in the x direction, it'd be 1, comma, -1, right? 1, comma, -1. Okay, now, do we have, do we have any of this? Do we have the m or the b? We do have the b. The b is actually going to be -7. And the b's why? Because the b is the y-intercept, and I know this is the y-intercept because the x value is 0, right? That's how I know you have a y-intercept. Whenever the x value is 0, you have a y-intercept. So all we got to do is find the slope. So I'm going to label this x1, y1, x2, y2. So to find the slope, you use this slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 is -1 minus y1, so it's minus a -7, over x2, which is 1, minus x1 is 0. So over here, two negatives becomes a positive. So 7 minus 6, 7, -1 plus 7 is 6. 6 minus 1 is 1. So my slope is 6. So my equation is going to be y equals 6x minus 7. Okay, so all we got to do is, so the first box is, see how it is. It's m x and then the plus b. So what is my slope? Positive 6. So I believe the first box should be positive 6, right? And then we have to have that x, so the second box here. And then what's our b? Minus 7. So oops, I made a mistake. Oh, no, I didn't. 6x minus 7 equals I think because it says equals to m box 4, I think we have to put it y here. And then we did not use negative 6 in any way, right? Okay, there you go. Okay, question 10. What is the length of a side of a cube shaped box whose volume is 96 meters cubed? So they want to know what is one length. So because we are dealing with a cube is technically, or one of the face, a cube is technically a square, and we know that in a square all sides are the same. So the volume of this cube box is going to be s times s times s, or really it's s cubed. And then the volume is 96, so this is, you can just replace v with 96. And then you have this s cubed. So you want to solve for s, right? I got to get rid of this power 3. How would I get rid of this power 3? You could do it two ways. You can take the cube root, or you can raise both sides by 1/3, right? It's the same thing as taking the cube root. So what happens is this cancels, so you're left with s equals 96 to the 1/3, or really it's the cube root of 96. And the cube root of 96 is, you can use a calculator because it's not perfect. It's going to be 4.57. So it's going to be B. Okay, so we just found one side length. Okay, question, what number are we at? Question 11. So question 11, so be careful. I kind of messed up the first time when I did this. So if 7 raised to the 2x minus 1 plus 6. So be careful where you locate the plus 6. The plus 6 is not part of the power. It's like outside. So I thought when I first did this, the 6 was part of the power. No. And then parentheses divided by 5 equals 11. What is the value of x? So if you want to rewrite this as 7 to the power of 2x minus 1, and then plus 6, and then divided by 5 equals 11. Okay. Now your goal is to solve for x. So what I would do is get rid of this 5. You can either cross multiply, or you can multiply both sides by 1/5, right? So either way, it doesn't matter. So now if I multiply both sides by 1/5, the 5's cancels. So you're left with 7 to the 2x minus 1 plus 6 equals, and then 11 times Oh, sorry, not 1/5, 5. Sorry, right? So if I multiply both sides by 5, this 5's cancels. And then on the right, 11 times 5 is 55. Okay. And then I'm going to subtract 6. So you have 7 raised to the 2x minus 1 equals to 55 minus 6 is 49. Okay. Then what you're going to do is, do you see this 40? You want to solve for x, but if you put it everything in a common base, you could ignore the base and bring down the power. So I think I'll put everything in a common base of 7. So this is the base of 7. Now, how can I write 49 as a base of 7? Or 7 to the what power gives you 49? 7 square. And then on here, you have 7 to the 2x minus 1. And what happens is the 7 disappears, and now you're left with 2x minus 1 equals to 2. Solve for x by adding 1, adding 1. So you get 2x equals 3. Divide this by 2. You get x equals 3 halves. Okay, so that's letter D. Okay, question 12. A bag contains 5 green balls. A bag contains 5 green balls and 3 pink balls. If 2 balls are drawn at a random without replacement, what is the probability that both balls are green? So, yeah, we're dealing with probability. So we know that the probability of drawing a green ball on the first draw is 5/8, right? Because there's a total of 5 in green, that's a total of 8, and then a green ball, there's 5 green balls, right? Okay, and then after the first ball is drawn, there are 4 green balls and 3 pink balls. So after the now you're doing a second draw. So now there's going to be 4 green balls, but still 3 pink ones, right? So uh, that would be 4 out of 7, right? For the second trial of getting a green ball, there's going to be 4, and then there's 3, so the total amount is 7. So to find uh both the probability of both balls is basically you multiply the probability on the first trial, which is 5/8, times it by the probability of the second trial, which is 4/7. So when you do that, you get 20 out of 56, and you're going to divide this by 4, you get 5 out of 14. Okay, so that's letter C. Okay. 13. Um, so we're dealing with right triangles. So this is a trig problem. So 13 says the height of a right triangle is twice the base. The area of the triangle is 36 square units. Find the length of the hypotenuse of the triangle. So if you want, you can draw an image, right? Here you have a right triangle, right? I'll use this box symbol to represent uh, a right triangle. So you have this box means right triangle. Here you have the base on the bottom, and then here you have the height, and then you have this hypotenuse. And what did they tell us about any of? They don't tell us. So they're saying that the area. The area of a triangle is 36. So if they say area, yeah, I know I'm gonna bring down this use this formula. Area of a triangle is base times height over 2. What else did they tell us? Find the length of the hypotenuse. So they also tell us the height of the triangle. So this height, not the hypotenuse. The height of a right triangle is twice the base. So that's 2 times b because we don't know what the base is, right? And what else? So what we could do is use these two, we could use this formula and then this information to figure out our base. And then once you found the base, you could find the height, right? Then you can find the hypotenuse by applying Pythagorean theorem. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use this formula and plug in what we have. So do they tell us the area of this triangle? Yes, it is 36 equals the base times height. Do we know the height? Kind of. The height is 2 times twice the large as the base, or 2b over 2. So that's going to be 36 equals to b times 2b is 2b squared. And then you have 2 here. And the 2's cancel, so you're left with b squared equals to 36. Take the square root of both sides. You get base is square root of 36 is 6. So if my base is 6, can we find the height? Yes. So this length is 6. Can we find the height? Yes, because the height is 2 times the base, so 2 times 6, which is 12. Okay, so now if you want to draw this, the right triangle with the side length, that's perfectly fine. So this is going to be 6, and then this is going to be 12, and then I don't know what the hypotenuse, so I'll call it C for right now. Okay. So now what you could do is apply the Pythagorean theorem because it is a right triangle. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So one of my leg is 6, so it's going to be 6 squared. My other leg is 12 equals c squared. 6 squared is 36. 12 squared is 144 equals c squared. And then 144 plus 36 is 180 equals to c squared. Take the square root. C is square root of 180. They didn't simplify it. You could simplify it, but they left it as it is. So the hypotenuse is square root of 180, and I did this all without a calculator. Okay, if you need to pause that or rewind, go ahead, because there was a lot of steps. 14 says, find the value of k if the value of 4x squared plus 5x minus 3k is equal to 12 and when x is negative 2. So you have 4x squared plus 5x minus 3k equals to 12. And then what we could do is replace wherever you see an x, place it with negative 2. So it's 4 parentheses. I like to use parentheses to represent multiplication. So 4 parentheses minus 2 squared plus 5 times negative 2 minus 3k equals to 12. So negative 2 squared is 4 times 4, and then you could put this in the calculator, or you could also do PEMDAS order of operations. So that's why I did the exponent first. And then what I would do is do the multiplication. We have 2 multiplication. 4 times 4 is 16. And then 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Minus 3k equals to 12. What's 16 minus 10? Or yes, 16 minus 10 is 6. Minus 3k equals to 12. Subtract 6. So you get negative 3k equals to 12 minus 6 is 6, and then divide this by negative 3, and you get k equals to negative 2. So that is why it's B. Okay, so this one is a little bit tricky, word problem. So yeah, I kind of had to do this twice. So 15 says, or I had to read it twice. That's what I meant. Like, it's not, the math is not too hard. It's just, okay. So 15 says, a square shaped house. A square-shaped house has 3 meters wide garden surrounding it. If the area of the garden is 192 meters square, find the area of the house. So in the center, this right here is the house. This little square majigger, right? Here's a house, and it's the shape of a square. So this thing that I'm highlighting is the house, and it's a square, so we know that in all sides are the same. And what we got to do is they're asking you find the area of the house. So how do you find the area of this house? So we know that the house is a square, so the area of a house or the area of a square is S times S or really S squared. And so this is what I'm going to do. So first I'm going to find the length of PQ. Okay. So what is the length of PQ? It's so from here to here, that's what I meant. So this length here is 3. I don't know what the length of AB is. I'll just call it X. And then I do know the length of BQ is also 3. So if you clean that up, that's the same thing as X plus 6 times it by M. Okay. The next step I'm going to do is find the area of PQRS. 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 So I also think that's a square. Uh so the area of PQR, so PQRS, so this one right here. Also use red. So the one I'm highlighting is gonna find that area. So it looks like it's also square. So the area of a square is side times side or length times width. So do we know the length of PQ? Yes. Wait. Yes, it is yes, it's X plus 6. Oh yeah, okay, so yeah. We just found the length of PQ, which is X plus 6. So it's X plus 6 times X plus 6, or if you can also say X plus 6, parentheses X plus 6 squared. And when you FOIL this out, what's X plus 6 squared? You could do the long way. You could say X plus 6 times X plus 6. And if you FOIL that out, that'll give us X squared plus 6x. And then 6 times x is 6x. And then 6 times 6 is 36. So if you FOIL that out, that's x squared plus 6x plus 6x is 12x plus 36. The other way is there's a little shortcut you can use. It's like a plus b squared is the same thing as a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And then your a value will be x and your b value is 6. Okay. And then you just put in the formula and you'll get this. Then what we're going to do is to find the area of the garden, all you got to do is find the area of PQRS minus the area of of the square house. So do we know the area of the garden? I think so. They tell us the area of the garden is 192 equals, and then the area of PQR was this one, x squared plus 12x plus 36. So it's x squared plus 12x plus 36 minus the area of the house is, we don't know what this length is, so we'll call it x by x, so that would be x squared. Okay, and then go ahead and solve for x. So what we could do on the right side is get rid of these x squares because they zeros out. So now you're left with 12x plus 36 equals to 192. And then you're going to subtract 36. You get 12x equals to 192 minus 36 is 156. Divide this by 12, divide this by 12. You get 156 divided by 12 is 13. Is that our answer? No. Now we just found this length is. So we found the length from A to B. So let's find the area of the house, which is technically a square. So what's the area of a square? S times S. So we said that one of our side lengths was 13. So 13 by 13, which gives us an area of 169 meters squared. Okay, so that was a lot of work for this one problem. So if you need to rewind, go ahead and do so. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. So this we stopped on question 15. So in the next video, we should start on 16. So I'm gonna stop right here.